Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the Burnham Project on Substack. You can get Burnham Podcast. You can read my blogs and all sorts of cool stuff. It can even be sent right into your inbox. You can also watch us on Rumble and YouTube. We like Rumble better, but you can also watch us on YouTube. You can also find Burnham Podcast anywhere that you find your favorite podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click the little bells, the Rumble button, whatever the service has to offer. Click it, do that, follow us, tell people about us. Thank you very much. So what's your favorite conspiracy theory? Are you into the Kennedy assassination? Did we land on the moon? What about this COVID thing? That's what we're talking about in this episode with our esteemed panel, Kris Pyle and Andrew Denmon. Welcome to Burnham Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Burnham. So we're live. Here we go.
Okay,
we're live.
We go.
The light's on. We're just going to roll right now.
Let's go ahead.
Go for
and
it.
get in there.
The what is that? A soft opening? That's not a soft opening. Cold opening? What do you call it? Cold opening. Cold opening. We cold open, I guess, just about every episode, don't we? We are back with our esteemed panel. That's what we'll call these.
Nice.
Is that what this esteemed?
That's it. The esteemed panel.
Sweet.
On my left, I have Mr. Andrew Denmon,
Good evening.
and on my right, I have stand-up comedian Kris Pyle. We're going with
The
that.
humorist.
I gotta quit doing that to me though.
You've got to start doing stand-up.
Yeah,
Well,
you
that
have
might
to
be
start
a
telling
thing,
jokes.
but it's gonna. You don't get the title till you do it.
You say funny stuff though, right? You're the guy that people are like, "Hey, say something funny," right? Has that ever happened to you?
Like a
Yeah,
clownfish.
it works every time too. Yeah.
See, that's hilarious.
You always
It's
think
the
of
best.
something funny right off the rip.
I'm sure you do. That's got to be the most annoying
Words
thing.
we won't say on the
Yeah,
podcast.
let's
Make
not.
everything funny.
You got a beat button back there.
Mm-hmm.
So we've reassembled the esteemed panel again tonight. We're going to talk about
We're gonna get in
conspiracy
trouble.
theories. We are. We're going to get in trouble. Probably going to get demonetized and strikes and all kinds of fun stuff. And
Or monetized?
no,
Getting
not
paid?
really.
I
No,
ain't
we're
getting
not.
paid.
I mean, if you call
YouTube
15
is-
cents getting paid,
Not even, bro. You got to have a gajillion listeners and a gajillion hours on YouTube to like start making money. Rumble pays you a little bit up front,
Up front.
but it's I mean, like as soon as you get not up front, but like as soon as you get going, like they're counting your time towards
Really?
the money. So
that's good.
yeah. So if you're going to start your own podcast, use Rumble, do your thing.
For sure.
That's why we always tell people that Rumble's better, but watch us on YouTube.
Is there a
Well, it's not
conspiracy
owned by-
about why it's better?
Do what?
Is there a conspiracy about why it's better?
Well, yeah, there's got to be, right? Because
Like the other
But
guys
is it a conspiracy
taking
if
down
it's true?
certain content.
we did what now?
The other guys taking down certain content. And
Yeah, no. Rumble lets it stand. And that's ultimately why I moved the podcast from, I was on Anchor forever and ever, and then I moved it to Substack because Substack doesn't give two squirts of duck poop what you put on there.
Yeah.
And they just let it stand.
It's almost like you've got freedom of speech.
What? That's crazy.
You can say
But
what you
then
want to.
Rumble's along the same lines, and they let
Okay.
you kind of get away with more than some of them other guys do when we're going to test the bounds on that in this episode. So we're talking about conspiracy theories.
There's a lot of good ones.
There are a million good ones, right? I've been on, I went to Dallas last month, back in June. I forget, June the weekend of the 10th. My little brother got married. And we had to go to Dealey Plaza
Right.
and see the place where Kennedy was killed. And we got to go up in the library and walk around to the grassy knoll. And
At
see
what
all the
point did you
things.
go?
So you can't get in the window where Oswald shot, which is the dumbest thing ever because it's the same hardwood floor that you're standing on. So I'm looking at it from one window over. You can also go up to the 7th floor in the exact window right above it. So I'm looking at it from two different places, and I'm like, he didn't shoot that guy 3 times. There's no way. There's no way. There's some really great shooters that could do it once or twice. Nobody did that 3 times from there.
Not with a bolt action rifle.
Not with that bolt action
Right.
rifle, especially. That was a lousy rifle. And that
So what you're saying, grassy knoll.
grassy knoll under the bridge. They're driving toward that bridge down at in the bottom of the kind of hill there, and there was apparently a shot fire from there too. The who, though, right, is the conspiracy.
Right.
Who
called for it?
The government, or was it Castro, or was it the Russians, or, who
the most believable thing I've heard was we did it. Well, when I say we, our organizations.
Organizations, yeah.
One of those three-letter organizations.
Well, he wanted to put us back on the gold standard and didn't want to go with that whole global banking thing.
Right.
Which is, another conspiracy is that's why they kind of turned the world against Castro, because he was kind of the same way.
Right.
He was way of a less nice guy than Kennedy, but he kind of had the same plan. I don't want to be a part of your World Bank. And, they didn't like JFK going in that direction. I think he also wanted to disband the FBI and CIA, one or the other, or both.
He was, getting rid of some of those three-letter agencies, and they.
Those three-letter agencies, they're not in the Constitution.
No, they're not. They're not. Hayden's sneaking around right now. He doesn't want anybody to know he's shutting the door.
Just shut the door.
He's tiptoeing. It's great. But yeah, you can't start saying, especially in that seat, you can't start going, we gotta get rid of these agencies, these unelected agencies, these people that are not accountable to anybody. Like, why do we have them? Why are they here? So there's a million different theories about who actually pulled the trigger versus who was funding it versus who planned it or orchestrated it or whatever. So that's one of our famous ones, in relation to America as far as that goes. But then we've got what else is there? We're
9/11.
9/11, right? Was 9/11 an inside job?
I believe so. Like, I'm going to go out there and I'll say it. People think I'm crazy, but I fully believe it was an inside job. There's just way too many coincidences, and there's a lot of stuff you can study and find out that is real. Like our government playing war games that mimic that very thing happening like the day before.
Right.
And that's why it took so long to respond to the planes being off course, because they thought it was a game.
Yeah.
And I'm all like, there's just way too many things. And then, the footage, it's been changed. People saying they heard explosions going off when the buildings fell. The buildings fell quite perfectly for something that got hit from the side with something that weighed thousands and thousands of pounds. So to me, it's almost like you're naive if you don't believe there was funny business behind it.
Are you in on that one?
I'm kind of torn. I think there was a whole lot of practice by Osama bin Laden to set that up. We know they bombed the World Trade Center before,
right?
But that plan didn't materialize, or it didn't work out for them to collapse the buildings. But
what about that bin Laden? He was like a CIA operative for a very long time too,
right?
Yeah.
So he's like trained by us.
Yeah, and I think you find that a lot with these organizations in other countries, and especially terrorist organizations. We've trained them. We've supplied them with weapons in the past, and it's just that they hate us, and I really feel strongly that we shouldn't be paying other people to hate us. You can hate me for free,
right?
Okay, I'm not going to pay you to do it.
Well,
I'm
it
not
is
going
really
to give you my stuff to do
to
it.
go with war with people that what their arsenal consists of, but it really sucks when you're the one that gave it to them,
right?
Right, and they're shooting back at you with it.
You're fighting them with the weapons you gave to them.
Well, we keep using words like we and us and they and them, and which is just pays into the grand overarching theme here, right? Is that we're talking about these conspiracies and groups of people. But specific to 9/11, like you mentioned, there's stuff that we know now that we didn't know then. And in that day, there was a lot of emotion. Right? Nobody would have convinced me on 9/12/01 that it was an inside job. We did it ourselves.
No,
right? Because I was so emotional. So it would have been forever before information came out and people going, well, I was at X place in time on that day and this did or didn't happen or whatever. So you got to separate yourself from the emotion.
Yeah, I think I really hadn't even thought about it a whole lot as far as it being a conspiracy. And there was a documentary now. This was 12 years ago or more. Used to be on Netflix. It's not there anymore, but it's called Loose Change. And it's like 2.5 hours of very slow, dry talking, but it gives you all the info and the pictures and the video and all this kind of stuff. And to deal with the Pentagon, Pentagon had a plane hit it, but yet there's not a plane part laying anywhere. It just disintegrated, but parts of the building's still there. How'd that happen?
Right.
Just a lot of funky stuff going on, and they just point it all out. And I'm like, I've just been convinced ever since.
I wouldn't have said that was an inside job.
Right.
Until the last 3 years.
Okay.
And now I'm convinced that we can't trust our gun. We're going to put our did you bring our tinfoil hats?
I didn't bring a tinfoil. Well, the day before that happened, they had a meeting at the Pentagon trying to talk about where like $3.2 billion they couldn't account
just
for or
disappeared.
something.
Yeah.
Several $billion just disappeared, and they're all like, we don't know where it went.
We don't know where
we
it
should
went.
probably get rid of the records. Where are they at?
Yeah.
Well, we got them in
the
World Trade Center. And they
And
took an insurance policy out on it just a couple of months before or something like that.
There's abundant video of the planes hitting the World Trade Center.
Right.
But the only video that vaguely shows anything hitting the Pentagon is you can't tell what it is that's hitting.
Like
It kind of does look like a missile.
I've never seen
People
that.
reported hearing like a fighter jet.
Right.
And then boom.
All right. I don't know, I guess, as much about the Pentagon aspect as the other stuff.
What do you know about, I can't remember what the building's called, but, you got the two World Trade Centers. Like a block over, there's buildings between the World Trade Center and this building.
Yeah,
and this building falls down.
Yeah, there were like 7 different buildings.
Nothing hit it. And it fell down. But it was connected to the World Trade Center, but not connected to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it was another government building.
Yeah.
And I'm all like, man. So if you
tasty stuff,
if
right?
you do, well, even like me, you believe it, and I'm all like, well, I don't know why. I still don't know why they did it.
Right.
I kind of feel like I do. It was just to prolong the whole, get America riled up so we could stay at war with the Middle East and try to get some oil. Oil. I'm sorry, oil.
Oil. Yeah.
Earl. Maybe that's why.
Our government
I don't know.
wouldn't do that. It's never gone to war for unjust reasons. See, we're done. YouTube is eliminating us. But these are those things that we talk about, right? And we get into, and we can sit here and talk about any one of these things, like especially 9/11, because we're old enough that we remember. It's like one of the first things
That's
that
a
I remember.
core memory.
Yeah, but we're adults then, right? We're old enough.
21,
right? Yeah, I was 22 or 3. I think I had just turned 23 2 days before that. So like we were old enough to like form a strong opinion about what was going on.
I can tell you exactly where I was when it happened, what I was driving, everything.
Yeah.
I was driving past Kennesaw Airport in an 87 long bed GMC going to my first work training for Jiffy Lube in Marietta. He had to go down there for like a day for orientation.
You Marietta to learn how to change oil?
Well, you had to go down there for orientation.
Okay.
And I'm passing the Kennesaw Airport and I'm listening to the regular guys.
The regular guys.
And it comes over the radio there. Hey, a plane just hit it. They're sitting there talking about that. And they're like, holy crap, another one's coming. Boom. And I'm like, yep, I can tell you, I was right there on 41 heading south.
You remember where you were?
Yes, but I won't talk about it.
Oh, okay. You were in law enforcement at the time, weren't you?
Not yet. That was before I got in law enforcement.
I got you. I was like, what a day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you remember those things, though. They stand out, and is where I was at and what I was doing and stuff like that. But that's one of those things, though, that make you hang on to what you felt that day as opposed to what you might learn later.
We saw the best unity this country has ever
seen. Man, it was. I don't think not since Pearl Harbor for sure.
Yeah.
Now it kind of got taken to the extreme at some point. Like we had a lot of American, when I say American, you had a lot of white folks and black folks getting together over here, but then they were kind of lashing out at the Middle Eastern folks that were over here.
Right, who had nothing to do with it.
Who had nothing to do with it, which was very unfair. But other than that, our unity was top notch. Everybody had American flags going.
Everybody was in church.
Everybody was, I mean, it really sparked something here.
Yeah.
And, I guess it really lasted that long.
I don't know.
A year or two?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
But it just seems to have fallen. I mean, obviously by now it's fallen apart.
Well, we got into like war, like really went to war after that, and people got tired of war eventually, so that sort of wears off. And
I mean, when you think we've been at war for 22 years because of that, that's a long time.
Yeah,
that's a lot of people going.
It's been long. I mean, did we ever really leave? I mean, when we were like 10, Desert Storm happened, right? Like around 90, something like that. We never left, really.
Not really.
It doesn't feel like we ever left.
No, we never really did. But I mean, there's always stuff going on over there. But I mean, the why, right? Like you talked about, I still don't know why. You think 9/11 might have been an inside job, but you don't know why. Like, why are we still? What's to gain from having troops on the ground in the Middle East for decades?
What's to gain for putting 3,000 troops in Europe right now?
Well, they have something in mind.
Yeah,
right?
they.
Yeah. I don't know. And of course we went through. I mean, we talk about these are things that are, we're getting outside of the country a little bit, but it's still related to our country and what we're doing and what we think of nationally or locally as far as the global scale goes. But then we go through this thing in 2020 that was worldwide. We all got this. We got COVID.
Talking about that cold we all got?
The virus that shall not be named.
The China virus, the
Wuhan virus.
China, the Wuhan flu.
Yeah.
But we know things now that we didn't know.
It's not that bad.
I had it twice.
I've had it 3 or 4 times.
I survived. It wasn't.
I lived.
Right?
Yeah.
Heavily
Spent 8
obese,
days in the hospital.
diabetic.
Yeah.
I've had it about 4 times.
Right.
Obese, diabetic, all the things they say that'll kill you. If you get it, you're certainly to die. I'm all right.
Well, that's what my wife got it in, August, 1st of August, into July.
Yeah.
And,
and that's after working in a retirement home.
Well, she was in the hospital at that point.
Right, okay.
But she got it, and we were like, well, is she going to die? And then she got we did an episode about it. She was sick for 2 or 3 days, and then she was fine. But, we know now that the vaccine doesn't stop transmission.
Nope.
And they're starting to admit that now, right? And they're like, well, yeah, we never said it
really did what it was.
Yeah, it never was didn't stop you from getting it, but it'll stop you from transmitting it. No, it doesn't stop you from transmitting it. But they told us it did. And I have to think they knew that it didn't.
I don't think they knew what they were talking about.
Well, maybe not at all.
I really don't.
Right?
I think they were absolutely clueless.
Yeah, it's kind of like a new car company coming out saying, we can guarantee that this is the best car that's ever been made. Well, that's your first car you've ever made.
Right.
You have nothing to back up the claim.
This is the first vaccine of this type that's ever been given to humans en masse.
But now we know, we just know that it's good. Well, you just made it yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
You literally, it's just rolled off the production line. And you put it on trucks last night.
And they're having to do special things through Congress just to make it okay to give to people because they don't have the proof that if it's okay or not. So they come in under the emergency clause and all this kind of stuff just to give it to people. We got the president on film faking getting it.
Oh, faked it, he said. Called him right out on TV. Yeah.
Which one, the orange man or the old guy?
The old guy.
The old guy. The orange man's old too.
Has both of them faked it? Probably both.
The orange man is the one who still pushes it and says, it was the greatest ever. I'm the best. I created it. I ran it. It's mine. I created the vaccine.
That's the orange man here.
First ever Burnham Podcast Trump impression. That was great.
Pretty fantastic.
So I mean, he still runs out there with it and still says, even to this day, that that's his crowning achievement.
Well, I don't want to make all my Christian friends mad, but Trump ain't the savior.
He's
not. He's not Jesus.
No,
he might be the lesser of 2 evils, but you're still choosing evil if you're gonna go get that invested in it.
No, I did an episode about him where I referred to something he had done. It was as a steaming hot pile of garbage.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so it just whatever. Trump is not. Well, there were plenty. That's what we can go on. There are plenty of things in relation to Trump, right? Like they conspired and stole the election, and all these ridiculous claims that people were making that it turns out might have some truth to them.
Yeah,
on some level,
But he handed the country over to Fauci. He just gave it to him.
He did.
He gave up the presidency and let a doctor who was not elected.
Not a doctor.
Run the country.
I got around to the episode that Tango.
You mean the orange guy?
Yeah.
He
just gave it over.
Here, Fauci, here, dude, and Birch. She was kind of running it.
Think about it though. I'm not going to take up for him because it was a bogus move. But I'm going to look at it from the eyes of I'm Donald Trump. I'm Donald Trump. Okay, I got all this money. I'm the president. I don't know about medicine. I got this doctor that's on staff. Who else better to handle it? Well, maybe he didn't know that he was handling it to a little weasel.
Yeah.
They didn't know what the hell he was talking about either.
Because the weasel obviously did not. I mean, he lied. He just straight up lied.
Yeah.
Lied. No, this is not gain of function research when it absolutely was
100%.
gain of function research. Okay, and then that didn't come from the lab in Wuhan. Well, you know what? Actually, it did come from the lab in Wuhan, where we're paying, we're giving people grant money to do what gain of function research that they're not supposed to be doing with U.S. tax dollars. So
Tango, I'm glad we finally got to the conspiracy theory that you're passionate about.
Right.
This isn't even the one I like. They're far greater.
Flat
ones.
Earth? Should we
Oh,
go-
no.
You want to go Flat Earth?
Flat Earther? You got some flat Earth for us? Where you at on the flat Earth?
I can't get on the flat Earth, man. That's the most ridiculous thing ever.
I can't. You're in and out on flat Earth, right?
I'm in and out on
Are
it.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. It's just physically.
I've never thought about
just-
it that much. I just assumed that it's round and always has been.
I mean, I can't sit here and defend either way.
Right.
I just can't. My man Scooter Allison would tell you that flat Earth is a more biblical sounding Earth as far as Scripture goes. You know, going to and fro on the Earth, back and forth from the edges of the Earth to the other edge. Like all that's in Scripture, so I get that. The word firmament is in the Scripture also, so all that is in there.
Right.
But have I ever been to space and seen the Earth? No. If the Earth is flat and they're hiding it, then there is a ton of people in on it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, supposedly there are pilots that have said, no, it's flat. But just like, what is it? The astronauts, Armstrong and
Buzz
other ones,
Aldrin and
has said that they never went to the moon. That's another one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I really don't know. I don't get so tied up in it that I lose sleep about it at night. But
Right.
when I hear some people talk about it and their reason for believing in flat Earth, it's nice. Because if you think about flat Earth,
I mean,
and
some
we're
of the
under,
stuff is easily believable.
well, it makes us special and unique in this
Right.
universe. As if you don't believe in flat Earth and
even
you believe in the globe and ever expanding the universe, it just keeps infinitely getting bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. Well, that makes us more minute and less special. That leaves a lot more room for other things to exist.
But even with those
than
other
us.
things existing or potentially existing, we're the only ones we know about.
Yeah. And I just
At
feel
this
like,
point.
like I know on the list is aliens, another conspiracy,
Yeah.
aliens, and some
What?
people,
aliens. I think
Yeah.
we're dragging
Terrestrial
out
beings.
aliens these days when something else is going on. Like I don't believe in aliens at all, right? I just don't think there's anybody else out there. They probably would have been mentioned in the Bible, right? Our brothers and sisters on
I
planet.
do believe in demons.
Oh yeah, 100%. They're there. But I mean, as far as little green men that came in on a spacecraft.
So what
and
you're saying is
crashed
you
in Arizona.
believe in something that you can't see at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what we do here.
Yeah. Just want to make sure I'm on the same
But
page.
yeah, no, 100%. But we're talking
why
about.
couldn't they be little flying green men?
Well, why couldn't there be? I mean, they're.
No, I mean, why couldn't the demons be little flying green men?
What if they're
They could,
interdimensional
but surely they
beings?
What
wouldn't
do they-
crash
yeah.
in the desert in Arizona, though, right? Or Nevada. Where's Area 51?
New Mexico.
New
New
Mexico.
Mexico. I'm still wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
But what if they're like interdimensional beings?
They are interdimensional beings.
they would be, but
Yeah.
I don't know why
What
they
if
would.
Bigfoot's an interdimensional being? That's
manifest.
why we
See,
can't ever
this
find
is
him.
different too.
I'm going to look
Bigfoot,
for him next week.
That's a new thing
Huh?
for me.
I'm going to look for him next week.
Well, he's interdimensional. He
Yeah.
dip out on you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what they say.
He doesn't believe in me either, though.
Bigfoot saw me, but nobody believes him. That's a new one for me too. The interdimensional Bigfoot. You know, I've been out in big enough woods as a hunter to know that there could be a critter out there that we don't know. Even we're here in Northwest Georgia, big woods. I feel like I could go out there and hide for as long as I could find food. As a human, much less as some kind of animal.
Mm-hmm.
But this interdimensional thing is a recent development for me.
Well, you know
How like you see him and he knows that you see him, and that's when he disappears.
Yeah.
That's why his pictures are always blurry. I'm like, no,
What if he's just a blurry guy? What if he's just
Don't bring a Mitch
It's just
Hedberg joke in here.
pixelated. It's just pixelated.
But I mean, they run that same theory with the Loch Ness Monster that it's traveling in and out from the
Yeah.
ocean.
It's in
eventually.
it's in a landlocked lake.
Yeah, but
that
it's
they can't seem to find.
Yeah, right.
But the lake
sonar
is
and-
so deep. The lake is
It's
rather
so
deep.
deep. It's rather
Yeah,
deep.
but they've probed that
Well, we
thing
just
with
had
radar.
some idiots
and-
die looking at the Titanic. Is that deeper than that lake?
No.
No?
Yeah,
It's
Titanic's
not.
deeper
It's
than the
not.
lake.
Oh,
is.
yeah. Then they could for sure get down there and find this big lizard if
Right.
he existed.
That's not there.
Yeah.
I'm
If it
gonna
was
call
there.
bogus on the Loch Ness Monster. I ain't going in on that one.
Unless it's traveling back
I
to
can
the
get with
ocean
you.
through
I'd
tunnels
have to
or
see.
interdimensionally.
Oh yeah, I can get with you on
Wormholes.
interdimensional Bigfoot.
Yeah. But who do you? I mean, we're talking about all this stuff, right? And you got the moon landing, and then there's video of Buzz Aldrin. I watched something the other day saying it didn't happen. We didn't go. Well, like, do you believe 1969 Buzz Aldrin, or do you believe this Buzz Aldrin?
I believe this Buzz Aldrin.
Well, but maybe he just wants everybody to leave him alone now. I asked him, did you really go to the moon? And he's like, no. You know what? No. We didn't
Or
go.
maybe he just wants to be famous again and stirring stuff up. I was saying, hi, we didn't really go up
Maybe today actually is the 54th anniversary of the moon landing.
Today is
today.
If they
What is
went.
today? If
they
in fact
went.
they went July 17th, 2023.
got military time on your phone.
Buzz, it makes better sense, man. I don't know why they make us start over again at 12. They the same people.
I don't do that. I do
Pedestrians.
24-hour time.
Yeah, that's what I've got. You have to, because I mean, I don't
Partly
have
because
to,
of
I
my
guess,
industry, but
yeah, it just makes sense.
yeah.
Just go to 13.
Easy.
Why would we start back over at 12 or at
Easier.
1? Yeah.
Yeah.
They make us do it. Is there a metric measurement for time? I've always wondered.
It's called seconds and minutes, and
It's not metric though, right? I mean,
that's
that's
just standard. Yeah, standard.
Yeah. I don't know. Is Zulu metric?
That's
I
a
think it's
TV
military.
ad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But there's all the so we're talking about who do you believe, right? And again, do you believe Buzz Aldrin in 1969, or do you believe him in 2023? Do you believe the media that told us we definitely went to the moon?
I don't
Well,
believe
like,
anything the media tells me.
Holy smokes, right? I mean, that's kind of where we are now.
Well, there's another conspiracy. It's only, like you said in our message, it's only a conspiracy until it gets proven right.
Right.
And now we have all these people. You can do your research yourself. If there's one thing I would like for people to know is that we have all these declassified stuff from the early 1900s of all these things we've done to people.
Well,
Experiments
even
and
more
stuff like
recently,
that,
with
and
the virus that
controlling
shall
the
not be
media.
named, you could get online and find information about the virus and about what was being done and read it for yourself. Now, it got a little difficult at times because folks were taking it down and because they didn't want us to know,
Right.
I think. But you can read for yourself. Most people can. And you can digest that information and synthesize, okay, this is what I think is going on here. This is my theory.
Yeah.
Which can be good or bad because you might come up with some crazy conspiracy theories. But yeah, I think it's absolutely important that we take the time to read. Danny, you and I have talked about this extensively about Scripture.
Yeah.
You know, you can't read just one verse. You have to read the entire passage to find out what's really there. But the same thing with anything that's going on in our society. You've got to read about the entire. You got to read a lot of what's there and then be able to whittle it down and go, okay, what's really true here?
Well, yeah, that's what it's about, right? We have these theories and these conspiracies, and they did this, and they know that, and they're keeping this from us or whatever. But what do we believe, and why do we go for these rides on these Like when I was in the Texas Book Depository, I felt like at the end of the trip, I was going to be able to call somebody and be like, "Hey, I got it. I figured
this out.
I can just let me tell you, there was a guy over here, and there was one there, and the dude with the umbrella, and the babushka lady, and then the Zapruder film. These are real people. Yeah, right. So all this stuff, I got it. I'm calling the president or whoever. So we feel like if I can get to the bottom of this, I'll be the expert, right? And then I know.
You think they throw crumbs out for us?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they rub our nose and stuff.
I think it's just a natural order of things that if they don't let it out, it's going to get out. And they would rather control what gets out. You've sent us some links about Christians and believing in conspiracy and if we should or shouldn't. Like, first of all, you shouldn't be fearful. God doesn't give us a spirit of fear.
Right.
So if it provokes that feeling in you, then you're probably going down the wrong path or at least looking at the path wrong.
Yeah.
If there's one thing we know from Scripture, because I look at it, I try to put everything through this filter. If there's one thing we know from Scripture, Scripture tells us that this world is being controlled by evil. Evil don't get bored. Evil doesn't have a lack of imagination.
That's spicy.
So for people to think that, well, Satan's only going to attack you this way or this way. No. He's got his hand in everything. He's got his hand in the politics and the entertainment industry. He's got his hand in all this stuff. And now I sound like one of these conspiracy nuts, but I believe it's the truth because we know if this world is controlled by evil, why do you keep expecting all these what's good? All these things around you.
Heretics. I don't know.
How do you expect all these institutions around you to uphold to the same morals and values you do when they're not following the same God you do?
Right.
So you have all this stuff around the world that is evil, and there is a conspiracy. It's all to attack us. At some point or one way or another, it's all to attack us.
It's just not men doing it of their own will necessarily. They're they're being controlled by the devil.
Well, Scripture tells us we don't fight against men.
Right.
We fight against the principalities in the dark place,
Mm-hmm.
and the heavenlies and all that. So if we start looking at it that way, well, then now there being a Hollywood child sex ring don't sound so crazy, does it?
No.
It don't, does it? And now thinking that the government is trying their best to keep us all enslaved
Protected.
with debt.
Right.
Yeah.
And this to keep us chasing for that next shiny thing, well, that don't sound so crazy now, does it? But if you take God away from it, well, that's when we start sounding like a bunch of loonies that disbelieve in a bunch of crazy stories.
Yeah.
But when you put it through the filter of knowing, hey, this world is coming for me.
Right.
This world isn't my home. It's not supposed to be where I have my value. But the world is after us and our families.
Right.
And that's when we start getting into the conspiracies about the pride thing and all this other stuff that's trying to take down the American family and kill the American family spirit is what's going on right now. That's what's under attack.
One of the things I've been picking up on lately, a lot of the mental health issues that you find in that community is because these people are trying so desperately to be something other than what God made them to be. And when you're really working and trying to be something other than what God intended for you to be, you're going to have severe mental problems.
Well, you can never get there. You
Right.
can never, ever get
But it's
to this other thing that you think you need to be.
It's just a battle against your nature.
I think it's a coincidence that Pride Month is the same month of Men's Health Month.
No, I don't.
Not at all. It's all an attack on us.
Right.
Yeah.
What can they do to draw away your attention from what you should be thinking on? This month, you should be thinking about your mental health as a father and a son and a friend and a brother.
Yeah.
But now you're distracted because you might have somebody walking down Broad Street with booty shorts on that's a dude, and you don't want your kid to see that. You got to keep it distracted from what you should be thinking about.
Right.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
It's odd that those 2 months or two celebrations correlate, right? They're at the same time, same
I don't
place.
think it is. I think it's planned.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, because Men's Mental Health Month, it should be very, very important.
Well, I mean, it doesn't end with the time of the year that this happens. You know, it overlaps Men's Health Month, and it also borrows or steals Christian symbolism in the rainbow.
Right.
Yeah.
When God gave us the rainbow as a promise that he would never destroy the earth again with a flood.
And I don't want anybody to think that I personally or that the three of us don't love every other person.
Oh,
on this
yeah.
planet.
I don't want
No,
to
I don't want to be
that way.
misunderstood. I just think it's really important that we identify there's sin, and that is sin. We love you, and we're doing it. We want to do everything we can to introduce you to the Jesus that we know that loves you and will be a good father to you and help show you the way to live. But I'm not trying to condemn anybody. That's not my job.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that it's not my job.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, we have to stand up for what we know is right.
Correct.
You can love people and not support everything in their lives at the same time.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you get into our faith, right? And you look at what we believe. And at the end of this life, we believe there is an eternity.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a heaven, which is eternal. And you spend forever and ever and ever with God in
Or
his
without.
presence. Or you spend eternity in hell. And Penn Jillette has a video.
How much do you have to hate somebody to keep that from them?
Yeah, if you really believe that, you absolutely have to hate people to not tell them. So we get, I don't know, maybe we're chasing a rabbit trail here, but you tell people this is what's real, what we believe, and what I want you to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I want you to not be in hell forever, and we get blowback from that.
Yeah,
we get. People get mad at us when they go, well, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to go to hell. And they say, well, you hate me. Well, no, we would hate you to not try to, to
if
save
you were
from
reaching
that.
to touch a hot pot and I didn't stop you, then I would hate you.
Right.
Okay. But because I love you, I tell you, hey, that's hot. Don't touch it.
Yeah. So
it's the same exact situation.
There's not a conspiracy theory a conspiracy among Christians to stomp out, all these people who we disagree with and get rid of them. Wish they'd see things our way.
We just love you. We love you too much to let you do that.
It all feeds back into what I said. He has his hand in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You think Satan don't have a few churches, like holy churches?
Oh,
you think he ain't got some
man.
churches? Yeah, he's got some churches.
Yeah. 100%.
And not just the satanic church, but
Oh no, I'm talking about like all these Christian churches that have private jets and Ferraris and stuff like that. Yeah, they're probably.
Do you want me to name one of the pastors?
Yeah, you can. Esteemed, yeah. But I would say these people are pretty evil and working for the enemy.
The enemy. Yeah.
Tango, where are we at on time?
35 minutes.
35. Okay.
Wow.
Right. So no, and this is I figured we were about half an hour in, but I'm making a point here. This is cool. You're going to see how this folds. We've spent 35 minutes talking about these conspiracy theories, and we could have talked about any one of them for 3 times that long.
Right.
Yeah.
If we really wanted to get into it. So how much time should we spend trying to figure out what's at the bottom of these conspiracy theories? You asked a good question in our group chat, and you mentioned it earlier, but I really like the way you phrased it. What was it?
I don't remember. You got to.
But is it a conspiracy if it's true? Or
it's only a conspiracy until it's proven true.
Yeah. Right. So how hard do we work to get to the bottom of one of these things and go, that's true or that's not true? Does it change my life if I fly to Dallas and go to Dealey Plaza and pull back a floorboard and find the missing link to all the evidence that ties this thing all together?
Right.
The CIA guy's business card is in there.
Is that going to change your life? Yeah, it's going to change your life. You might go meet Jesus.
I mean, other than the obvious, though, I think it'd be confirmation.
Yeah.
The world operates the way you thought it operated.
Right. But I mean, is that going to happen, though?
That's highly
unlikely not.
Yeah. And if it did, does it get me into heaven? Does it keep me out of, so it would change our life. Our life would be different if that happened to one of us. But is it important to us as an individual? Is it really important? And it kind of is, it'd be cool to know for sure that that's what the government did, or whether, I know for sure that we didn't actually go to the moon or whatever. But we're seeing now from the last 3 years and all this COVID stuff, and they told us one thing and then we learned something completely different. And there were people from the get-go, from the very beginning, that were going, hey, I don't think this is what they're telling us it is.
Right.
And those people, our church came from that. Like, that's how we started. But we were going, this is not right. This doesn't seem right. Like, something's fishy here. So how long do you hold that position? How hard do you fight? How much do you dig to get to the truth? And at what point do you decide, well, this particular cause isn't going to change my life. I'm just going to wear my mask and do whatever I do for 6 months until this ends. How much time and effort does a Christian spend debunking a conspiracy theory versus finding the truth? Because the truth is important.
Yeah, I think, if you have access to the truth, then there's really not much to wonder about no more. You have the truth. When it comes to all this conspiracy stuff, until it is, if you just feel real strongly about it, okay, don't spend all your time on it. You know what I mean?
Especially we do have other things.
If you feel like at the end, if you feel like at the end of this research, if you prove this certain thing, it's going to give you some better understanding of God. Cool, pursue that.
Yeah.
But me pursuing the grassy knoll and all that, that's entertainment stuff to me. That's just stuff I listen to as I'm working, just as background music. Yeah. But when it comes to my eternity, does flat earth or round earth really change it either way? Yeah. I don't think so.
No. Right.
Jesus came to whatever shape we're on.
Right.
And died for my sins. I believe that. That's what's going to get me to heaven. Now, if I get up there and it's a cube, he's going to be like, look, y'all were dumb. It was a cube.
It was a cube.
But
what if it's a triangle?
It's really not that important.
It's a pyramid.
But the things that are important,
it's the allspark,
and should be important to us, are the other ones, like the child sex rings and the stuff like that. That
stuff is important.
That is the stuff we do spend our time on.
Right.
The shape of the earth, really not a big deal. We're here. Let's deal with it. But kids being abducted and record numbers and trafficking being at a record high, Atlanta being a hub, that's very close to us.
In the United States, between 15,000 and 50,000 people disappearing every year and suspected being sold into sex slavery.
50,000.
50,000.
Thousand. Rome's population, I think, is like 100.
Yeah. No, Floyd County, like our entire
So it's
county.
almost like Rome, Georgia disappearing without anybody
half of this county
knowing much about it.
Yeah, the entire, inside the city limits everybody here would just be gone.
So
by
those
numbers.
kind of things, those kind of conspiracies, they're worth digging into.
Yeah.
Those are the ones digging into. 9/11, it's over with now. It's done. Whatever they wanted to do, they obviously done
Right.
it. They did it. But let's move forward. Let's worry about what we should worry about.
Well, maybe that's the line then, right? That this child sex trafficking thing is happening right now.
Yeah, it's no conspiracy. It's happening.
COVID stuff is still happening right now. We're still learning new things. 9/11, JFK was 60 years ago. Like at some point you go, well, what's it really going to change if we get to the bottom of this?
I think to me, what makes it matter, these conspiracy theories, is whether or not it's affecting people's livelihoods or safety, health. When we're talking about the child sex slavery, or even just sex slavery in general, people being abducted and put innocent into that, because it's not just kids. It's people up to their 20s and 30s,
Right.
or with the virus that shall not be named. Just over and over again, this is affecting people's lives. It's affecting their health, and not just today, but for the rest of their lives.
But we still ain't seen all the side effects.
No.
Yeah.
They're starting to come out now.
Well, I think you're going to start seeing some major ones. One of them being that there's going to be a much lower birth rate. There's a lot of young women who took the vaccine or who were given the vaccine.
Something about the guy that owns the labs is a big fan of human population
control.
Yeah.
And that's not
Some
anything our
computer guy.
vice president talked about recently, was it?
And some computer fella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
That was
a whole
a
nother.
Freudian slip, right?
Nah.
Population
If you
control,
give them long enough, they'll
pollution
tell you what's
control.
going on. Put them in
It
front of a
just comes
microphone.
out.
And I don't try to convince anybody of any of these little things that I dabble in here and there. And
Yeah,
try to,
yeah.
I'm not here to try to convince anybody what shape the planet is or if aliens exist or interdimensional beings, whatever. I don't really care.
Yeah.
If you believe what I
Yeah,
believe,
yeah.
I might think it's a little more fun to believe this way, but it's really not a heaven or hell type thing.
Right.
But sometimes it's fun to think about stuff, but it can't go too far.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the sex trade and stuff like that, there is no going too far.
No, there's not. There's not.
I
And
think-
go ahead.
Especially like if we have the opportunity to impact that and make a difference and maybe stop it or at least slow it down.
Yeah.
Then I think we're called to do that. And that's where that does affect our eternity. Not doing what
Yeah.
God tells us to do about something.
We'll stand in
that's sin.
judgment one
Yeah.
day before God, and He'll go, "Hey, you had the chance to do this.
Right.
Why? Why did you not?"
I personally think that's why I feel like there is an attack on masculinity just for that reason.
Yeah.
Population be more controllable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
another
if men
little
aren't men.
conspiracy.
Yeah.
I believe that's they got most of the buildings built. We got enough roads to get around on here in the next 20 years. We're really not going to need anybody to do this hard work no more. So let's get them all feminized.
Well, isn't it strong men make easy times
times
make
make-
weak men make hard times?
Yeah.
Right
Hard
now we're
times
at the
make-
weak men making hard times part.
Yeah. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
It is for sure. Tango always comes in at
I
just
know.
the right time.
I was
If it
gonna
had
also-
said that in a Trump voice, boy.
Well, I was gonna tag on to the sex slavery. Please go watch Sound of Freedom because that is
Have you seen it, Tango?
yes, it's fantastic. Go do it, and if you can't afford, go
They'll
to
give you free
the pay
tickets.
for it. Pay it forward. They've raised 7.9 million tickets
Wow.
to give away for free.
Oh wow.
The footage in it, the opening, not going to spoil it, the opening and ending is real footage of people being abducted. It is a thriller that will get you, and it is a fantastic movie.
And true story, right?
Yes. Well, yeah. The guy, the agent, decided
Was
this
it really Cadiz, whatever his name is?
Caviezel, yeah.
It could be the place.
Cadizel.
So
it was
let's-
Vin Diesel. He
And
went-
this
Vin
is, a,
Cadizel.
this is a movie
Jim
that
Vin
was
Diesel.
in development for 5 years and shut down from Netflix and Amazon, and nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
And now it's out showing all of them, including
$84
Indiana
million.
Jones.
Well, there's another conspiracy that there was a documentary being made by Chris Cornell and Chester from Lincoln Park about the same kind of thing, child sex and all
No
that
kidding.
in Hollywood and all that.
Because they were both victims,
And
allegedly.
That's kind of why they both got suicided. That's another
Oh, I
theory
hadn't
out
heard
there.
that. But I mean, even with it makes sense. I mean, I can't these days. You say
Disney
something,
tried shutting down Sound of Freedom.
Yeah,
They
still,
had-
the media is running
they
cover
had
for
it.
it, saying it's a QAnon theory right now. Like,
Well, that's there are two different conspiracy theory. And they're coming from different sides on this. You've got these people who are trying to shut it down, and they're talking about how there are movie theaters that when you go online, it says that the theater's sold out.
But people went, they said the air conditioner didn't work, so they were turning people away.
But every other theater in the building is full.
Yeah.
Only the one for that room is not working.
Right.
I don't buy that.
Yeah, that's not a conspiracy then. We have the proof that
it's there, right? So there's that side of things that that they are trying to suppress this message. But then there's the other side. And this is a newer thing that I've stumbled across the last couple of days. There are people going, this is a conspiracy by the Mormon church because I guess, what's the guy's real name that the story is based on? I listened to him on Tim Pool the other night, and I can't think of his name.
Tim Ballard.
Tim Ballard is apparently a member of the Latter-day Saints Church. And this is a big Mormon conspiracy, which, by the way, I'm not above calling out a Mormon conspiracy, but this is
that's a whole conspiracy, isn't it?
Yeah, right. It's its own conspiracy by itself. But they're saying that it's the Mormons are doing this, and they're propagating their information. They're putting their stuff out there through this movie. And the story, though, and I haven't seen it, and Tango, you can verify, there's not a religious aspect in the movie.
Absolutely
They
not.
say God's children are not for sale like one time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you're bringing awareness to that situation, I don't care if you're a Mormon.
That's
you know what I mean? Like we're not going to get eye to eye on theology here, but if we can get eye to eye on saving some kids, and all you're saying is God's children ain't for sale, you didn't say what's his name, Smith's God or this God. You just said God's children ain't for sale.
Right.
So regardless of what God you believe in, I believe in, that statement's true.
Yeah.
I don't care if that one happens to be true.
Right. Well, that was kind of my thing. I'm reading this and I'm going, why would you try to suppress this message because of who you feel like that person is? This is, at the end of the day, like, it's a true story, but there are probably some Hollywood liberties in there. So it's probably not 100% true. So there's some level of fiction, right? And then he's playing a character who is a real person in real life or whatever. So like you had to get through like 4 filters to go, well, this is about a Mormon and he's spreading his message to this movie. And I'm like,
it's a far reach, really.
It really is. It really is. But I'm getting it from the same people who, you guys seen Airplane Lady, who got off the airplane.
What's up with that?
So she's talking with 2 fingers or whatever.
Interdimensional lizard people.
Yeah, lizard people. Alex Jones is right. As
I know that.
They're turning the freaking frogs gay.
I know, right? So now he's Trump and he's Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
So she's talking with her 2-finger hand gesture thing, and they take a snippet, like a 1/10 of a second of a clip of her standing like is it Baphomet, the guy with the horns and the demon dude, and he's like this, right?
And they just catch her mid,
just like that. And she did the same hand thing, and the people are going, "See, she's one of them. She's evil."
That's the same thing they did to the Orange Man when he was supposedly making fun of somebody.
Making fun of the special needs reporter.
He was in the middle of a
they took a snapshot, and they're like, but it's, these are we find these things. Some people can just, they see what they want to see.
What if there's a conspiracy that they put out certain conspiracies to keep us confused about what's really going on in the real conspiracies?
I'm convinced, and I'm going to lose this lady as a friend on Facebook after this episode. I'm convinced that's what they're doing. Like, I have a couple of friends on Facebook that have convinced me that is the case.
That they put out all this garbage to keep us preoccupied.
So you asked about breadcrumbs earlier, and I think, yes. Because people got on, what was the football player, Damar Hamlin?
Yeah.
They were like, the guy that died on the field or whatever.
The top supreme athlete that never had any health issues whatsoever until he got.
So we're tying spirit conspiracy theories together now, right? But he died on the field after whatever medical treatment he received before that, and they bring him back to life.
It was
and now
the jabby jab.
Right, so he's at a football game.
And he's wearing a jacket.
But it's not him. Is that him? He's dead. It can't be him. It's a body double. It's a stand-in.
Then they got mad about a jacket he wore.
Yeah, the jacket he wore, the picture of Jesus on it. I'm not for a picture of Jesus, but whatever. So, so we're in that now as opposed to doing something important.
Right.
Because Damar Hamlin.
Because you're distracted.
Yeah, God bless him. I'm glad he's alive. That doesn't change my life. I don't know this guy. If he walked in here right now, I'd dap him up and offer him a cigar or whatever.
I think they play with us.
Well,
I think they play. When I decided it was all a joke is when we had to decide between Warnock and Herschel Walker. Because that's when I decided, okay, the only way
Are
Herschel
you a
Walker.
Georgia fan?
Yes.
You need to put that disclaimer on there.
I
then,
am a Georgia
'cause
fan, but I'm not voting for Herschel Walker.
Okay, all right.
Now keep in mind, I'm
Yeah, but
not
this,
voting
here
for.
we are again at two boll weevils, you know?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, keep in mind, I'm not voting for a what is it, an abortion saying it's okay preacher either.
Yeah.
I'm not voting for
Yeah.
that guy.
Right.
But to think that I'm going to vote for a dude because he played for a football team I like 40 years ago,
That's
that
not-
he had no other. He
Right.
had no other.
qualifications.
But Orange
No
Man said he was
qualification.
good.
Orange guy said he was cool, and his
Man.
wife did survive the beatings at least. And I'm all like, that's when I decided they're playing with us.
Man,
they are
this
just playing
This is
with
the
us.
last episode of Burnham Podcast ever. We're getting canceled
I'm so
from
sorry.
all angles here. This is fantastic.
I thought the same thing when Trump
Yeah,
got
yeah.
elected too, though.
Yeah. What I mean,
I didn't expect a whole lot out of Trump when he first got elected.
It's the TV guy.
He's a TV guy.
the-
Guy
the-
from Home
you're the
Alone
business
didn't
guy.
even know
Fired
what
guy.
Bobby was.
But,
or
you
whatever.
You're fired. You're done.
That's
He
gonna be
was
that's gonna be podcast. And you're fired.
And it was really cool that all these rappers were rapping about him and wanting to be like
Yeah,
him, and
yeah.
everybody referenced him as the pinnacle of American. But as soon as he became president, he's racist.
Yeah, right. They all loved him.
As soon as
Yeah.
he became president, oh, he's racist.
Yeah.
You rapped about him last year. I was different.
Well, he beat their person, right? Their heir apparent. Like she was going to be the president. It was.
Hillary?
We
Hillary
were
hit Clinton.
obligated to vote for Hillary, and then we didn't, and so that
You
made
can
us all-
tell that I read about all this stuff, don't you? That I be into all of it. I'm like, oh, Hillary, that's another conspiracy. Benghazi, that's not really a conspiracy anymore. We kind of proved that she dropped the ball on that one, and she still isn't in prison. Hasn't had to answer for any of those deaths that she was personally.
I mean, there is a conspiracy about the
for.
pile of bodies that's left behind her and Bill. Just to,
Oh,
you know.
everybody gets suicided.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll tell you all
There's
right now,
all
if I end
accidental
up dead, they come after me. I didn't kill myself.
I like me too much to kill
I
myself.
know.
I like
I'm
me a
not
lot.
suicidal.
I am not suicidal. I got a lot of stuff to live for. So,
But I mean,
it was the Clintons.
yeah, there's a lot.
They
there,
probably
right?
killed
You can-
JFK too.
I'm sure they
Who,
did.
Hillary?
But
Yeah, Hillary. They're probably about the same age,
he's
ain't they?
older. Yeah, I
Well, she
don't
was probably
know.
in college back then.
60
you know.
years ago, close to it.
I mean, she's
Yeah.
400 something years old, right?
At
Hillary?
least
Yeah.
she's a time lord.
She's a lizard person.
She's
Yeah,
a
wrap your brain around that
skinwalker.
conspiracy.
That's a new
Skinwalker
one.
ranch,
That's a
yeah.
new one. Have you heard about skin? No, have you heard about skinwalkers? That's
No.
supposed to be a
Whoa,
new
that's
thing.
a 2010 thing.
Is
You're in
it?
the past.
Is this
yeah.
like Jeepers Creepers? Or?
No, it's
No,
a-
it's a
people-
Navajo lore of like witch doctors who. Yeah, we'll get into it later.
But people believe that they're shape shifting people things.
Wow.
And like if you go in the woods, and because there's been a few videos that they've tried to pass off as like legit, like dudes in a field, and all you see is a silhouette of a dude over there, and he's kind of moving erratic, but it's screaming, but it sound like it's coming from there. Exactly.
Once again, he's pixelated. You can't really see who it is.
I
Yeah,
think
you know
you're
what I
talking
mean?
about a Wendigo,
I'm talking about a skinwalker.
and I just said the word I'm not supposed to say.
Uh-oh.
What, Wendigo?
Yeah, you're not supposed to say the word, the name of it. It's bad. It's
is
bad
this-
juju.
Oh boy, is this like Bloody Mary?
Candy
you look in the
Man.
mirror and the Candy Man. Yeah, is this?
No, this one ain't.
Beetlejuice,
This is-
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
So is it on the same level as saying Jesus on a podcast?
No.
No?
I'm
I
gonna.
think when
Okay.
you say
Look
that
this up
word,
now.
it's supposed to come up like Beetlejuice or something, right?
No. That's when you're alone in the woods, he'll get you.
Oh, okay.
That's when you can't say it.
So next time I'm in the woods, or is he going to remember from tonight? Because it's going to be.
Do
a
I have to
while
say it
before
again when I
I
get to the
I'm not
woods
going
again?
I don't know fully.
You have to say it in the woods?
I think so.
If I'm in the woods, I got a gun. I really ain't scared of him.
You think I don't have a gun right now? What are you talking about?
What are we doing? See the Wendigo.
I mean, it's
on
because I
Ball
love
Street.
you that I have a gun.
No, I
Right.
appreciate
You
that
know?
because I don't have mine right now. It's a lot to sit on all day long. But yeah, see, but it just. I mean, we could pull the lid off of
Right.
who knows how many.
It's so easy to get
Theory.
distracted
Yeah,
by
it
this
is.
and get
And
even
we-
making fun of it.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
at this point, every week's a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something else that you feel like is being suppressed. You know,
So what are we missing out on while we're
all the information the Vatican has that they don't share with us.
saying now come the Catholics?
Hidden scriptures.
We had the Mormons earlier, and the Catholics are coming
Deciding what
down.
information we got. The information we got that best
So what's the thing
suited
about the
people
new one
that
about
could be
Jesus
ruled.
had a brother, a twin brother?
So the multiple Jesus theory, we were talking about this just briefly off air. That was one of the things they said after Jesus had resurrected. Right, he'd come back to life, and people were seeing him in places. And those
that's because he's the Son of God,
right? Because he could just do that because he came through the wall at one point. But people are going, well, he's not really resurrected. There were multiples of him. He had twin brothers, or he had lookalikes that they were propping up to be able to say Jesus is resurrected. He's back, but that doesn't explain the actual empty tomb, right? And the empty tomb, they tried to say, well, they stole the body.
I feel like that's too new of an idea to be considered.
Well, this was going on then. Like, it was a thing.
Oh, back then?
Yeah. People were going, well, that's not
today.
the real Jesus. It's the... So what the point is that this is not this conspiracy theories didn't start with the moon landing or JFK. No. Like, it's been going on forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an old idea, and it goes back and relates even directly to Jesus as far as him, that not actually being him, or maybe it is, or did he come back from the grave, or did his hapless bunch of merry men fight off some Roman soldiers and roll the stone back and steal the body? Probably not. But that was the conspiracy theory of the day. So, I mean, we talk about these now, but they relate directly back. He did kind of mess with
people sometimes, though, like the way he would talk, because they'd be like, who are you? Who do you say I am?
Who do you
just tell me who you are.
I know it's you, Jesus.
We're trying to make sure you're the right dude. Who you say I am?
I don't know. Who do you say I am?
Your mother and brother are here. Aren't these all my mothers and brothers?
Right,
dude, do you want them to come in here or not?
That's something a conspirator would say, though, right?
Right.
Answer a question with a question. Who is he? That's actually Jesus. He did that.
When he reappeared, he chose to let them see him. Like, he was just standing in front of it, which tells you he has a little bit of sense of humor.
Yeah.
He had to be standing there going, they don't even know who I am.
Imagine he's just sitting next to you all of a sudden. Yeah. But yeah, they even involve him, as far as that goes. But we invest a bunch of time in them. We invest a bunch of effort in them. I'm not to the extreme like John Piper, who thinks that anytime you're not like in study of Scripture, you're wasting your life. Or like,
there's a lot of life to live outside of.
Right, there are things to do.
Well, as far as the
God bless
world
him.
is concerned, our whole faith is a conspiracy.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And not even starting with the Jesus thing that we're talking about, but the whole thing is because it could be, as far as somebody trying to disprove the faith. I don't know how many ways have you heard people try to explain Christianity was false. They go, well, Constantine did this, or one of the guys that translated the Dead Sea Scrolls found out that it was actually about mushrooms and fertility rituals.
I know what you're talking about. That's Joe Rogan talks about that.
Yeah. But I mean, how many people have looked and studied and even secular historians like Josephus, who wrote about Jesus, wasn't a Christian, wasn't a believer, but he was like, hey, all these things happened. I saw them. I was there, whatever. So you can't discount those things because this one guy said mushroom fertility ritual. So it just, it goes on and people always think of one thing or another. I mean, we're all football fans, and when our team loses, you go, well, I think they paid the referee, even down to the dumbest little things. High school sports are rigged, or whatever. But they used to happen here back in the 90s, incidentally.
Probably money being made, though.
Yeah, a ton of money. And that's what it all comes down to.
I'm not paying attention, but you and I had a conversation about what was the guy's name? I had to ask you this before. That said, if their faith is true, it'll last forever. Mm-hmm. It's in Scripture. I just can't remember because we had to look it up, and that was what I was trying to find on my phone.
Tango's on it. Get them, fingers. But yeah.
But the long story short is that this guy, who's a Sanhedrin, or he basically says, "Look, don't stone him to death. Just send him away. Beat him, send him away, whatever." Yeah. But if what they believe is true, we're not ever going to be able to stop it.
Yeah.
It'll be here 1,000 years from now.
Well, you look at the ways that the disciples died. They had some horrible deaths, right? And all they ever had to do was go, "Nah, that wasn't real."
Right.
I don't believe that. That didn't happen.
And I just have a really hard time thinking that they'd go to that extreme of a death and not.
Would you get boiled in oil for something you didn't believe in? Or hung upside down on a cross?
Jesus was so good of a con man that he changed time.
Yeah.
Right.
They started time at his birth because he was that good. We're going to restart time because this dude
because
knows
when
how
he
to
was
talk very
born,
well and is articulate.
Yeah.
I'm going to look in my other message thread because I got two with Danny.
I was going to say, I need more than a little bit of a quote.
Sorry.
I've usually got a cup of water sitting here, and I'm just going to hack now.
You know some Diet
That's
Coke?
been,
You
if you don't mind.
You just sip
We're
it out.
not sponsored by Diet Coke, but that's all right.
Oh, we're transmitting all sorts of viruses right now.
I'm sure.
No, sir. We are improving our immune system by exposing ourselves to.
I'm addicted to Diet
Drinking
Coke,
after
and I
each
haven't
other.
had any potatoes or bread in about 3 weeks.
So
I'm
how
drinking
about
my
that
Diet
one?
Coke.
New Coke.
New Coke.
Yeah, do you feel
You
like
guys remember
Coke
New
rolled
Coke?
that out just to make sales of old Coke?
You talking about back in the day?
Yeah.
Back
I
in
believe that
84,
when
was it?
Coke changed their recipe.
When they went to the new Coke, and then everybody hated it. They made a formula.
What, it lasts for like a month and a half?
Something like that. But
When
There
you
were
shot
people
up.
rioting
Well,
protesting in the street in Atlanta.
Well, when you watch the documentary on it, The Food That Built America, they play it off as it was a legit accident. But some dude was trying to make his name because he was like the new CEO. And what's he do? Let's change Coke.
He
I'm new.
ruins
Let's
Coke.
mix it up.
But he made $1 bajillion for them.
When they came back,
The
right?
thing, though, is that it's changed multiple times over the years. Anyway, they just didn't say anything.
Well, they had to
about
take the cocaine out of it to start with.
Which is
But they
the
probably
biggest
That was like
mistake.
back in the
Yeah, no,
40s.
it was way back.
Yeah,
They
but
probably
still.
would have gotten away with New Coke if they just hadn't mentioned it.
Or left
They
the
could've
cocaine
just-
in it.
They could have just rolled it out.
I don't know. I think you
Incidentally,
got your hardcore people that would taste the difference about it.
I mean, maybe, but they got away with it, I think, 6 times total. But
My wife swears she can taste the difference between a canned Coke and a fountain drink, but it's got to be from McDonald's. She's like, that's the best Coca-Cola.
You know,
There's science behind that. It's
Yeah.
real. It's true.
I'm
the
sure.
Because
straw's
they
bigger. They use a bigger straw. McDonald's does.
They do, but they also deliver their soda in steel cans instead of the bags in a box.
and it does
And
make
it
it taste
stays
different.
cold from the time it's in that canister. It's pre-chilled before it comes to the tap,
Once you say this
so
dude's
your
name.
ice don't melt as much.
Which one are we?
And that's why
What?
Oh,
McDonald's
Gamaliel?
Sprite tastes
Gamaliel.
like
We'll go with
battery
Gamaliel.
acid.
Well, I know it's the syrup's better, but yeah.
Yeah, it's more syrup and it's colder, so that
It's
a
Gamaliel.
stronger drink.
Who?
Axe 5.
Okay.
Axe 538.
Acts 5:30. Well, so Gamaliel was the guy that said, "Don't stone them.
Yeah.
If
Don't-
their faith is real, it'll be real, and
It'll be real and it'll last.
I wonder what Gamaliel would say right now if we could ask him.
That'd be a great question.
Right?
Hey, dude, what do you think about this now? Here we are.
I was gonna say, he's in Sanhedrin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say we might ask him when we get there, but I don't know about Gamaliel.
He might.
He might
I mean,
be
this
there.
is pretty powerful.
Yeah, no, it is. My phone keeps buzzing and it's driving me nuts. I was not going to have it on the table again this episode. I do it every week. I don't know. Where are we at on this?
Hour 3.
Conspiracies in hour what?
An hour 3.
Oh, okay, cool.
Do closing statements.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Kris, what do you think?
It's not so important finding out the truth about particular things, the conspiracies and all that. You use your filter, how does this affect your faith and how does this affect the people around you? Shape of the earth, not so important. Child sex trafficking, more important. Who did 9/11? Well, some evil people, regardless of what side of the line
That's right.
they were on.
Yeah.
So let's just filter everything through that and know that we're in a world that is fighting against us. Don't be surprised about all these different ways you seem to see evil. If you see it, that's a good thing.
Recognize it for what it is.
People that walk through this world and don't see the evil in it, because everybody wants to be super positive nowadays, right? It's like we got to be all butterflies and rainbows. I can't find where I'm promised that. What I am promised is that there's a reason I need to put on all this armor and all this every day, because it's going to be a war. My life is supposed to be a spiritual war.
Yeah.
And in order to be a good soldier, you understand the tactics of the enemy, see the evil that's around you, and just use that filter to filter out how you're spending your time and what you're paying attention to.
Professor Denmon?
I have to echo a lot of what Kris said. We need to recognize evil for what it is. Recognize that it is a tactic of the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
That's his thing.
Right.
We have to be prepared to respond to God's calling on our life, whether that's ministering to people in little things or big things. And if it's, protecting a child from getting taken to sex slavery or going to rescue them from that,
Right.
if you're called to that, whatever that may be, it's absolutely necessary that we respond to that and do whatever we're called to do in that.
Amen.
I've seen, I'm a fan of John Lovell,
Mm-hmm.
and watching his response to The Sound of Freedom, the man came out of there just eyes red and bloodshot from, he said he wept through the entire film.
I imagine.
So, I mean, even if it's not true, like we were talking about, it's a moving story of what something that's affecting our world right now. So, yeah, I think we can get caught up in the conspiracies, but we need to filter it. And if we have to filter it twice or three times to get to the bottom of it, sometimes we have to do that.
Yeah.
And big conspiracies, little conspiracies. Let's take care of what we got to do.
Yeah. When the disciples asked Jesus, what is the greatest commandment? He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. So that's kind of what it comes down to, for me, as far as when I look at these things is getting to the bottom of this, loving my neighbor, is leaving it alone, loving my neighbor. Is it loving God? Is it beneficial to the kingdom of God? And that's kind of, that's what it comes down to. And it's not, different from what you guys said. Is it good? Is it going to benefit us, them, our people, they, whoever? If so, then it's worth getting to the bottom and finding the truth. And if not, then we let it go. But that's where we'll jump off. God bless you guys. We love you. See you next time. Thank you for watching Burnham Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.